I wanted to make a quick video about how I started to hear God. And so I don't want you to think that I guess I think that a lot of the clairsentience or clairvoyance or like the clair senses are what we would call spiritual gifts or like gifts of the Holy Spirit. I think that they kind of correlate to these like clair senses. And I think that each of us were probably very talented in nearly all of these areas back in like Adam and Eve's day. Like I think that they were perfect humans and they probably had all of these different telepathic senses. So I just wanted to start off with that little bit of information before, just to preface this. So I needed to get to know God and who he is and kind of the baseline there. And so I did start with reading the Bible, and I took 2 years to read the Bible in its entirety. Do I think that there's probably some flaws with the Bible? So I don't think there's flaws in the Bible, but I do think that the books that were in the Bible have been like kind of picked and chose. I think we might be missing information, but I do think that everything is there that like is necessary for salvation, and like what's necessary to for salvation. I mean, what's necessary to like be able to accept Jesus and fulfill your heavenly destiny and like make it to heaven essentially, or like be on God's the book of life. Ultimately, that's the goal. So I think that all of that information is in the Bible, even if we're missing a lot of information. Ultimately, these back to ground us a little bit. So these clair gifts, I believe, to be the gifts of the Holy Spirit. We can access a whole entire like spiritual realm or dimension through these gifts and these senses, and we're supposed to be doing that. If you're able to do that, like you're not going to question whether or not you're in God's good graces. Like you're not going to wonder about if you're lukewarm. Like you will know that you are saved. Like there will be zero question to that. Like I never wonder whether or not I'm like lukewarm or whatnot. So I started to hear from God. I heard nothing from God basically my entire life up until 2 years ago. And it started with me making an effort and just reading my Bible every day for 2 years. And then it got a little bit harder to read my Bible after that, because like I had already read it. So like I would do my best. I would read it still most days, but then I started praying every day. I used Dan Duvall's morning and evening prayer, and I noticed that a lot of my messed up dream things were going away. So I thought that that was a good sign. I also started to pray that God would show me what he wants me to do and help me to find my purpose. And I gave up control. I told him that I gave up control. And that was kind of the key. So just pray to, and I also prayed for sin to be shown to me in like areas where God wanted me to change, and that I would just no longer desire to do those things. So all of those are really good prayers to be praying when you're in this kind of waiting period. And so for about another year, I was praying and like not really getting anything other than like randomly getting these coincidences that I assumed were signs. And so from there, I would have some of these signs, and I was building up a little bit of faith and a little bit of trust. And then I came across something by Dan Duvall about activating my human spirit. And I would have, God would show me and give me truth and like give me faith. And he just continued to do that time after time after time, which is why like sometimes you just have to keep going, and then God will talk to you.